Hello, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be learning how to make a skateboard deck. These skateboard decks are made out of 7 layers of maple veneer, eastern maple to be exact. 5 of these layers are long grain and 2 of these layers are short grain. The 2 top and 2 bottom layers are long grain, and then our center veneer is long grain, and then the 2 on either side of center are short grain. So before you glue them up, you want to set these up so that you have long grain, short grain, long grain, short grain, long grain, and long grain. This is very important because the short grain are going to help to keep the concave of the board intact, and the long grain are going to help to keep the kicks, the nose and tail, from flattening out. We have to glue every single layer on both sides before we stick it into the vacuum bag, and the vacuum pump will suck all the air out of the bag and form this down to our mold here. So we have a mold here, and there's one in the bag, as you can see as the example. So that one's almost ready. So I'm going to pull that one out before I get started on the next board here as I do glue up. Before you actually glue things up, you want to sand both sides of every veneer so that you don't have any high spots and low spots. You'll have a nice glue surface, and you won't have any air pockets or delamination problems after it comes out of the bag. All right, here we go. So here we are, we're ready to glue up. Before we actually glue up, we want to prepare all of our materials. So we're going to need about 350 milliliters roughly of Titebond 3 wood glue. It's waterproof, and this is the best glue that I've found for this project. I put it in a smaller container. I just use mustard containers or something smaller. It just makes it easier to apply as opposed to using the big jug. And we're going to be using a foam roller to help spread the glue nice and evenly. We don't want too much glue on the surface. Too much glue leads to glue pockets in the vacuum bag. The glue will sort of congregate in the center of the board and create like a bubble, and that is really bad. That basically makes the board not usable, and it's about $20 worth of materials down the drain. So the foam roller really helps to make sure we get a nice even coat of glue on every single piece on both sides, here and here, before it gets to the vacuum bag. This all has to happen within 10 minutes of applying the glue in the first place. When you first start applying the glue, 10 minutes from that point, you have to have this in the bag. So it's a good idea to have a partner help you out. So somebody could be applying the glue with the bottle. All right, so we've got this board in the bag. It's been glued up and in the bag within 10 minutes. And the vacuum press down here is controlling how much vacuum pressure we've got. We have about 24 inches of mercury, and every time it drops below, I think 24, the pump kicks back in. So this is cycling on and off to make sure we have enough vacuum pressure, keeping even distribution of force down on this board to make sure that we don't have any delamination problems. I put this mesh across the top just to help distribute airflow through here so that the board doesn't, the vacuum press doesn't develop any little air pockets, and air pockets get stuck, and then there's no pressure in that spot. So this mesh really helps to distribute the pressure evenly amongst the surface of the board. And also I've got a yoga mat top and bottom just to provide a little bit of cushion and help distribute pressure evenly amongst the board as well. So this will stay in the press for, I like to put it in there for 3 hours. Anything less than that, and the glue may not be set up around the edges and like directly in the middle of the board because it is in a vacuum, and typically wood glue would dry from losing moisture. And in a vacuum, it's a little bit harder for it to do that inside of a bag. So I like to leave it in there for at least 3 hours.